We're here today. I've asked you to come along and twofold to chat about where you're up to and some of the things that you've been doing based on our conversations and the coaching and what you're doing with your travel site, but also because you're making money off the LLA strategy, which these guys will get access to once the course ends. But basically, it's the rank and rent websites. So I'm just thinking, where do we start? Everyone knows you guys, like, that you're traveling around in this glamorous four-wheel drive bus now. But do you want to share with us, because today we want to talk about the travel niche a bit as well. Let's start with the travel niche and the main site and how you got going in the travel niche, what you've mainly done over the last couple of years together.
I think to preface this, when I first started with you, Manliz, I said to myself, I'm never going to create a travel blog. Like, I'm never going into the travel industry because it is far too competitive and everyone creates a travel blog.
Yeah.
But, and then I ate my words and now we're into this. But yeah, essentially with Sold and Charcoal, what do we have? We have the blog, we have Instagram, we've got a little bit of YouTube, which we're trying to get up and running.
With Matt's coaching, we really want to focus on that. We know how beneficial it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's super important.
Very important.
And then TikTok and everything like that. Yeah. I'd say at the moment, our biggest thing is Instagram.
Yep.
But
we're trying to move away.
Yeah.
But focus on other areas as well.
Yeah.
So when you vowed that you would never have a travel blog, Chris, travel niche,
excuse me,
where you actually got started though, is because I do want to point this out to everyone listening here, right? And you guys, everyone listening, you don't all have to start this way. I actually don't recommend you start this way, but because these guys are young and hip, you started where? It wasn't with a blog. That's only recent, thanks to Matt. Where did you actually start? So the guys, I think it's due to you, Beck, isn't it?
Yeah. So we basically hit the road on Chris's income, which had become stable enough to support both of us. And that was with agency and LLA. And LLA, which we can get into. So that we knew we could start traveling with that. So off we went. And I'm pretty much sitting there. I had like a GoPro. I had my phone and I was like, I'm just going to film everything we do and post it all online because it'll be fun. And it was 100% just for fun. And it was just sharing our passions. And that we never, ever expected anything, honestly. But the support was really amazing. We had a lot of people messaging us saying, I love what you're doing. I want to see more of it. And the more support we were getting, the more we grew. Yeah. So it really did start just like that.
And where did you primarily post? That's the bit, because you guys take it for granted. For us oldies, Instagram. Beck, where did you primarily post?
It was
Instagram. Oh my God. Okay. So here's where Matt is not always right. Okay. I was completely wrong on that because it's turned into this, what it is today. So for all us oldies, maybe we've all got to start looking at bloody Instagram, but
I know.
And I think, as we all know, and we know within the champions community, there's a lot of champions like you guys who have a creative side. You guys are really good with photography. And like you said, Beck, you did it for fun and you love it. And Chris, you're pretty good at photography, it turns out as well. I've since found out. I never knew that.
He already was good at it when we left.
That was, originally I used to take a lot of photography, but never really share it that much. Through my travels, even before I met Beck. And then when we started traveling, it was like a good excuse to be like, okay, let's get back into it and spend a lot more money on photography gear.
I'm just picturing you I love your story, Beck. Like you accidentally, so just to recap, guys, this is super inspirational. I'm just running this through in my own head. These guys are making money off the digital agency strategy and the LLA strategy, which is rank and rent websites. So it's kind of like halfway between a portfolio and a digital agency strategy. They realized we can work remotely, like Nathan and Alexa and like Calum do, and like a bunch of, or it seems to be all you young champions, you guys young. And so off they trundle around Australia. And like Beck said, Beck's a really good photographer. She's real keen photography. So they start recording it as you do and sticking it on and sharing it. and next thing you know, that starts to take off because and so then and we don't teach this in the course, as everyone knows, we don't teach social media stuff, but really you just started, didn't you? All you did was just post something. And really, when you think about it, that's like like how you start a portfolio site or an LLA site or anything.
Oh, 100%.
But then you guys figured out Instagram. That's what I wanted to come to. You seem to have dialed in the Instagram thing.
The funny thing is that websites and social media, there are similarities between the two. We're doing a lot of education on Instagram. We're doing a lot of location sharing tips, savable content. And I think what we're noticing is like different generations are into different ways of getting what they need. So millennial generation is quite big on Instagram. Gen Z is quite big on TikTok. So it's just different ways of getting quite similar information. And then being across all of them, I mean, Google, everyone's on Google, like everybody's on the website. So having a whole portfolio across the social medias and across, you need your website is the winner.
But most importantly, it drives a lot of traffic back to our website.
Yeah, it does.
Which is, Matt's been coaching us, the two core assets that we have. Site and the YouTube as well, because they kind of go hand in hand.
Which you guys never had, because I can remember when you first started talking to me and saying, "Oh, Matt, we're doing all the stuff you're teaching champions, but on Instagram, and it's gone really well." And I just straight away said, and I'm telling everyone listening to this, I had big concerns, didn't I? I said to you, you guys need to be built. Why aren't you building? Because I was on the call looking up Salt and Charcoal, your website, and going, why is there nothing on here? What are you two doing? Post. You got such a brilliant,
because you don't in the background groaning because I don't want a travel blog because I thought it was too competitive, but I was very, very wrong. Okay.
When we first left, Chris literally said to me, "The one thing we will never have is a travel blog," and I was like, "Well, that's a shame because we're going to be traveling a lot." But okay. But in the back of my mind, the whole time, I was like, "We're going to have a travel."
Okay, cool. And guys, can you share with everyone in terms of success on Instagram, where did you start noticing it, like numbers? Everyone here knows, about SEO and stuff. Let's see what social media can do. Wait till you guys hear this. Is awesome. So what sort of numbers were you bragging to me when this started to take off for you?
Yeah. I reckon, I remember when we hit 1,000 followers, I was like, wow, we're in big digits here. I've never, that happened quite fast.
Because you guys back then, like really, you had no database, knew no one, nothing. No. So from zero,
it was just mum and our families commenting and liking things,
and a couple of us champions.
A couple of you guys definitely. And then it was when we started realizing we could get to 10,000, but there was a really weird time where we started realizing you do have to be really consistent. The more consistent you are, the better results you get. And we were traveling and I was sort of going, like maybe we should just stop doing this. We should just focus on our travels. I think we're getting a bit too much into this. And I remember Chris was like, oh, I do see something here. We're getting traction. We're being consistent. If we keep it up, we could really make something, we could get this quite big. So we pushed through that weird in the middle bit where we were like, what is going on here? And then we switched into business mode and we're like, okay, just keep on repeating the same thing that's working.
Awesome.
And really got into it. And that was when it did grow exponentially.
But and which is very similar to a website.
Yes. I always think that.
At the start, it gave us like a little bit of a spike, and then so you get a little bit of which is what Google does. A little bit of a spike, and then there's a long period of growth. And that growth for us was probably a year.
Yeah, it's consistent.
Sorry, that not growth, that flatline or slow growth was about a year. And then one day we woke up and it just really went off quite quickly.
Quite recently. In the last how many months?
Probably 3 months, last 3 months.
We tripled our following from just a handful of pieces of content we put out. Yeah, it was incredible. And that has really opened up opportunities and doors. But it was basically overnight.
And you've had some 100,000 plus views and stuff on certain videos,
Yeah.
haven't you? Just to put in perspective for us, here we all are. You guys know what it's like building portfolio sites, and when you're starting out, and local sites might bring in a couple of hundred people a month. You guys are getting 100,000 views, weren't you, on certain?
We're getting in the millions. We've had 2 point something million. Yeah. Incredible.
That was actually on a paid partnership as well.
Yeah, recently.
Yeah, that was a video on a paid partnership. We got them 2 point something million views.
Is not normal.
Yeah, that company was very happy.
So, guys, this is all right. Now we're getting into the interesting bit that I did want to bring it in, monetizing this, because here's where. So, everyone listening to this is through Instagram. The guys have just applied. As Beck said, I love how you worded it, Beck. It's just the same process as what we do with any of our digital skills we learn here in the Champions program.
Yep.
And you're stuck at it consistently, following Matt's graph, and then it's just gone exponential. So once you get, obviously on Instagram, what everyone needs to understand hearing here is, this is my opinion because I'm old school, but I said to the guys, social media traffic in our experience doesn't convert as well. So you do need those much bigger numbers. So what I said to the guys is, what we need to do is get some of that traffic over to good old fashioned websites and a YouTube channel or something like that.
But, and an email list.
Yeah, which we now
and
have
an email list. That's right.
Yeah.
But prior to that, what sort of monetization opportunities started to come your way? Because you guys have done quite well. Share with us some of the awesome gigs you've that you have had not land on yet. You've created this, but what's some of the cool stuff that started to happen for you?
At the start, I think the first one was just under 10,000 followers. We just tourism companies or government tourism organizations started reaching out to us and being like, would you like to come on this trip for free? And you can just take some photos and stuff and have a good time. And so that was awesome. And then our first big break, I think, in terms of like an overseas, very large tourism body was Abu Dhabi. We were just under 20,000 followers.
Wow.
And we had only been at it for a year and a half. And they was an all expenses 5-star resort paid trip to Abu Dhabi for 5 days. And they did
awesome.
It was like, obviously you weren't getting paid, but yeah, we got the whole trip for free, which was incredible.
Incredible experience.
Yeah. I mean, what an experience. You would not have expected that as travel. You weren't calling yourself travel bloggers at that point, but literally traveling around in a 4-wheel drive van around Australia or WA at that point. And all of a sudden you're being flown to Abu Dhabi, 5-star resort. And
it was like the opposite of what we do.
We like a fish out of water.
We live in a bus that has no toilet and no shower, and then all of a sudden we're in a 5-star resort in Abu Dhabi.
and I think it's around then. Is that when you told me that? That's when I said to you guys, "Hey guys, you're sitting on this is a real business here. This could be way bigger than what you realize." And my first thought to you, and I'll share this with everyone who's thinking of doing this. Again, I want to reiterate: you don't have to do this through social media. It's just how Chris and Beck have done it. But my first thought was, okay, we got to get serious here now, because you're starting to get corporates find you and reach out. You're going to get a lot of corporate sponsorship, because we know other people in the travel niche who do really well. And it's always, they get fully sponsored by Canon or Ricoh or the camera guys. And I remember that's when I said to you guys, I'm Googling away salt and charcoal and going, what I said to the guys, I'm going to share the same coaching that I did with the guys at that point. I said to them, you guys are young and hip and influencers and on Instagram, and you think that's all so cool. Old buggers like me who are working at Canon or the big corporates who've got the big money, they will look at Instagram, but I can tell you the main place they're going to check out, because they want to put their corporate advertising, is your website. It is your number one asset. And so everyone listening, still, I know social media is incredibly exciting, especially when you hear these sorts of numbers, hitting 1 million views and all that sort of stuff. You got to make money somewhere, right? Think business-wise. The corporates are always going to look at your LinkedIn profile, your WordPress website, because if they're thinking of sponsoring you or buying you, you want to be thinking about that. or they will look at your YouTube channel. So can you imagine what I said to the guys? What corporate's going to buy you out for millions of dollars if they can't find your website?
Yeah.
Or there's nothing on there. They're not going to buy you out for millions of dollars on your Instagram account. Highly unlikely. They'll pay you to be an influencer. So if you start thinking long term, so guys, that's why then Chris and Beck, full credit to them, they just went for it. They said, well, no, you didn't at first. I have to keep pushing you along. Like you said, Chris, you didn't want to ever own a travel blog.
But it's interesting you say that, Matt, because there was a few times where a partnership came through and they said what actually got you over the line was us looking at your website. And Chris at that stage, so that was bang on coaching. Yeah. And Chris even said, with our skills that we've learned from Matt and Liz, this is a huge advantage in any niche, including travel, because we're up against people who don't have those skills. So we're able to, I
think,
that's a really good point, Beck. You can present yourself to corporates, whereas so everyone listening, this is your opportunity, right? In the travel niche. Think about it. Most travel influencers are all just like Chris and Beck originally thought, just on Instagram, right? Or TikTok. You guys now everyone listening to this have the skills to be full on professional. And it's as simple as just set up your website and stick all your stuff that's on Instagram on your website, and you can present yourself to a corporate. So then corporates can see there's an asset that I can either, pay lots of money to be on the homepage. It's like our mate Alborz with his car site all those years ago. If he'd just stuck this, he didn't use social media at all. And, he would never be where he is unless he'd set up a full-on proper website where he got all the big car advertisers advertising on that site. For millions and millions of dollars. And it's the same in any niche, and particularly in travel. And I really like what you just said, Beck, that your competitors out there, they don't have these skills. They're not doing that. And it's been pretty simple, hasn't it, Chris?
Well, it has been simple. And this is what I didn't realize right at the start, and what not a lot of people kind of realize about the corporate travel bodies that, so for example, let's say in Perth, you've got what is it? OK Perth or Visit Perth. You've got
Perth is okay.
Perth is okay. You got the tourism websites, westernaustralia.com. For them to write, first off, they have to pay an Australian writer that might be $500 per blog post. And then second off, they have to pay for images as well. They don't take their own images. So each image they purchase is about $500 to get those rights. It can be, and it'll be a lot more. Like the good photographers will charge thousands of dollars. So all of a sudden, when these companies were trying to purchase our images, I realized why they were so slow, because I'm looking at our blog and I'm like, we've got thousands of keywords here and we're almost ranking, it's now at the point where we post an article, and if we've targeted the keyword right, we're in the number three position within 2 weeks, 3 weeks. And I'm like, why are these huge corporates with a lot of money not doing this? First off, they don't really know the skills that Liz teaches. But second off, because they're so slow and they have to spend a lot of money for the article. That's what I didn't realize right at the start. And so the competitive advantage is that we travel around, we can take some photography and quickly whip up an article. And anyone could do that within their city as well. And beat the big corporates to the punch because they can't move fast enough.
We have better information, better images, everything.
And gee, I'm going to bring you back in time here, Chris Dinham. Do you remember coming to live boot camps and hearing Alborz give virtually the same presentation that you just gave? Same bit of advice to champions. Do you remember that? All those years ago, many, many years ago, when he was starting out, he said exactly the same. He'd say, even in the car niche, which is hugely competitive. And I've got a feeling, Chris and Beck, you've helped all of us just possibly stumble upon an even easier niche than what we thought, because you've just found the loophole. That is absolute gold. Everyone listening, you got to realize this is what Alborz used to say in the carnage. The big corporates, they can't catch any of us doing this, and that's in a super competitive niche like cars. But you would have thought it's in the travel, but it sounds like travel niche is actually easier than the car niche based on what you're saying.
Travel niche is very easy if you do good keyword research and good long tail.
Definitely tell people this.
Yeah. There's so many keywords. Like everyone could do a travel blog here, and we still wouldn't stand on each other's feet. There's so much keywords on travel. But yeah, look, it's I think because of that, you've got such an advantage, and then that's where the sales come in, because the corporates know to build a website of possibly a large size is going to cost $1 million. So why don't they just buy a travel blog that's already pre-built?
And it comes with a following and recurring revenues and a recurring, and what we used to call, like even 10 years ago, we were teaching this a sticky list. That's what the big corporates are looking for. And that's the beauty of, I'll circle back to where Matt's always has been wrong on social media. I do begrudgingly admit now, combining that social media creates this massively attractive thing that's a technical term, but it makes it very attractive to these corporates because they can see it's sticky. That was the corporate term, especially with your and you guys have been smart, and you've listened to me. You're building an email list, the WordPress blog, but also in this day and age, I do want to, now people think of YouTube as a social media channel. I don't anymore. I look at what corporates look at. I see YouTube as an asset. Now it goes hand in hand with the blog. And I said to the guys, the guys are really focused on Instagram. Again, the corporates are always looking at YouTube and stuff. I would definitely build a following on YouTube. And it's also there's a lot of big advantages to building a serious YouTube channel from an SEO point of view as well, because who rules the roost with SEO? It's Google. It's not Instagram.
Absolutely.
Instagram and Google punch on. I personally reckon Google's not a big fan of Instagram secretly, but if you can get a big following on YouTube, I'll put money on it. Google will promote you through their SEO.
Right,
you watch.
But I think you're right there.
I think one thing though that Beck is actually incredibly good at and the benefit of Instagram for like creating your blog and creating videos as well on YouTube is the community within Instagram.
That's interesting.
If you look at it that way, and especially I guess we can talk about this later, but the day and age where AI is starting to come in and we're starting to get a lot of articles that are created by AI, the advantage for people like us, especially within the travel industry, is community, because AI can never replicate something like that. And like, for example, like this, your Mandela's e-business institute, AI could never replicate a community that's the supportive, and everyone's going to always go to that. So that's where Instagram, I think, gives that real advantage, not specifically SEO advantage, but advantage as a business to talk directly to the customers and figure out what they want. Yeah.
And it doesn't matter what community that is. For us, obviously, that's travel or van life or bus building. But for other people, it's arts and craft or pets or plants or whatever you're into. There'll be that community.
Absolutely, and that's what we were talking about on Monday when we all caught up. Guys, this is what I also want you all to realize. This is super exciting. So in the travel niche, I think, like as Chris and Beck have just shared, it's possibly way easier than what all of us ever thought, because like what our boss said to us all those years ago in the car niche, the big corporates can't catch this. And the big corporates, to them, they don't want to start from scratch and build some travel site. They have no interest in it. They want people like you guys to go out there and do it. And if you're successful, they'll just say, here's 10 million bucks, go away, or please stay with us for $1 million a year and we'll give you 10 mil or whatever it is. And because they want the big following. But following on from that, what we talked about on Monday, here's the other big advantage of what Chris and Beck are doing and what all of us are doing in the Champions program. If you follow the full strategy that we talk about, like building your SEO footprint and building a YouTube channel and all that sort of stuff, it's what beats AI. Okay, it cannot be replicated. I'm going to come back to what Chris just said there. Guys, this is a big, huge take-home lesson for our community. You need to hear what Chris just said. It's what Liz and I have been saying for quite some time now, but it's the one thing. So I'm a fan of AI, what's happening in the AI written content space. It's absolutely fascinating. I'm testing it out heaps. But at the end of the day, so Liz and I are always, theorizing and talking to people and getting around, chatting to people. And this is how Chris and Beck ended up here today, by chatting to Chris and Beck, just seeing what they're seeing. But this is real content because it's community based. And, you know, you guys, no one can fake what you guys are doing. It's obvious you're actually living in a bus and you are filming yourselves as you go around Australia. That's what people want. They want to see your real experience. That can't be faked. And guys, going forward, everyone listening here, that is going to become hugely, hugely valuable web assets. I don't want to see anyone just sticking it on social media because that just goes off into the past. It's not an asset. Make sure you're getting it onto an actual blog and listen to Chris, like he said. Even if you vowed you'd never set up a travel blog because it's too competitive, you've since found, wow, that paradigm's just smashed because it's actually way easier than what you thought. It's just got to have a go.
It's probably out of bar LLA sites because they're quite easy to rank. It's probably the fastest ranking site that we've ever had. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because it's fed by real signals from that Google's looking for.
Yeah.
And this is why I do want to reiterate something, like I'm saying it to you too as a private coaching call, but to everyone listening as well, this is why a YouTube channel is hugely, hugely important. I know a lot of, you know, you young'uns don't think YouTube's as cool as Instagram or whatever, but from an SEO nerdy point of view, I'm telling you, YouTube rocks because Google knows it's real. Google has all the control. You got to think it through, guys, what's practically happening. Google have outright said they can't access the firewall behind anything from Facebook, right? So they're not 100% sure what's real, whether traffic's real, the links or whatever. Whereas with YouTube, Google owns YouTube. They know it's one, they can check it out. So my little humble common sense guess is Google puts a lot of weight on the EAT score, expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness and experience through SEO factors like YouTube and stuff. And, you know, even Google themselves are saying YouTube's important, especially when it feeds in with your website. So going forward, you guys are laughing, you're building a massive, massive asset for yourselves. And there's lots of opportunities there for you in the travel niche, as we've discussed. There's lots of other monetization opportunities for you as well, which you're already discovering, like affiliates and even ads. But for you guys, it's exciting times because also the double whammy of the SEO in that niche is this is where you're getting discovered by these corporates and tourism bodies and stuff like that. It's super cool. Every time I speak to you, you're off somewhere else, fully paid. Or now you're actually being paid to do gigs, aren't you? Yeah.
So that's now we're to the point in where instead of just going places for free, they pay us to go those places, which is really awesome. And didn't think our life would ever go that way in terms of like talent, but now we have a talent manager. As well.
Right. Oh, so, wow. Moving up in the world, guys. You got a talent manager.
Yeah.
Because she does all the reaching out and networking and she's got all the contacts. So we don't need to sit there emailing and cold calling or all of that work. She does it and puts out our portfolio and gets us the gigs and she takes a cut. So smart.
That is, so it gets easier. Yeah, it gets easier. So all you got to do is just keep up the traffic, keep posting and doing what you love, which is traveling around and talking about your travels, life in a van.
Absolutely. Just having a great time and sharing it. But on the YouTube thing, you sparked something and I did want to say from a content creator's point of view, and this is something Chris and I talk about a lot, you post on Instagram, you post on Facebook or TikTok, your video or mostly with Facebook and Instagram is relevant for a few days, maybe a couple of weeks. But the good thing about YouTube, like you said, it's an asset. It's relevant for a long time. And we have noticed Instagram doesn't look after their creators as much as YouTube does. That's a really important point.
Interesting.
YouTube will pay for views a lot of money. If you're getting a lot of views, you potentially can earn thousands, if not millions of dollars. We're obviously quite small, so it will take a lot of time to get to that kind of a position, but you will be rewarded. Whereas with Instagram, yes, we can pick up brand deals and partnerships and things like this through it, but we're not getting paid from Instagram, and it's very unlikely that we will.
And so on that as well, what you harp on all the time about, Matt, is reoccurring revenue.
Yes.
So if you talk about revenue where you've done all the hard work at the start and then you can sit back and reap the benefits later. And if you, for example, get sick or something like that, you still have that reoccurring revenue coming through. YouTube is a platform like that because your videos continuously increase in views over time because it's evergreen content. And so you just get paid for advertising, just like AdSense, on your blogs consistently. Where Instagram, you know, you have to be doing brand deals and you always have to be doing new projects to earn the money.
It's more work, more time.
It's more work. Yeah. But so that, and I do want to clarify something because someone was typing into the chat there.
Yeah.
You still don't, when I say you own the asset on YouTube, I'm talking about the content asset. So hear what Beck just said. On Instagram and TikTok, it's kind of, to me, it's ephemeral. Like it's there for a couple of days and it's just gone. And you can never find it again. Has anyone been on Facebook and you find a really cool post, 2 days later, you just can't find it. Whereas on YouTube, you own the content asset. Okay, you don't own YouTube, but it's a content asset. This is what you need to be thinking of as your assets these days as content. And they feed your blog. They should go hand in hand. Every time you post on YouTube, you do the same thing on your blog, and you just point people to either or. But some people prefer to watch it on YouTube, but some people are happy to sit on your blog and watch it. But most importantly is that you imagine, guys, here's a theoretical question for you, right? You come across the head buying agent for Canon and he says, all right, and you're chatting to him, you get on really well. You say you meet him for coffee in Exmouth, your favorite place, and he wants to meet Chris and Beck, the famous Chris and Beck. He's there on holiday, he's with his family, and you're sitting there chatting, and he really likes you. You get on really well, and he says, look, we want to use you guys. And he says, what's your best videos that you've ever done? And Beck lights up and goes, oh, I got this one with millions of views. It's of Chris and I swimming with the sharks at Exmouth or whatever. And he goes, cool, show it to me. And you go, oh crap, we can't, because it's on Instagram. And he's just like, and he's bored then. It takes 10 minutes for you to hunt through versus, let's just go to my YouTube channel, go and check it out. Just look it up there, or go to our blog and check it out. So even better, you flip open your laptop, you're on Starlink. It's, it all works perfectly. You show him the blog article, he sees it there, and you go, oh, by the way, we can go to YouTube. And he says, oh, could I put a sponsorship affiliate link under your YouTube channel? Not a problem. We can do it right now. Just put the money in the bank account. Thanks. And also, can I put a banner ad in the right-hand widget of your blog? Yep, we could set that up for you tomorrow. It'll just cost you $50,000, but done, not a problem. I'm just putting numbers in your head there. And by the way, if you want to, and you could say, look, with this awesome blog article, Canon could even be a sponsor of it. You could sponsor that specific article. We could say this was sponsored by Canon, and we can go back and you could show him. He might not be very technical. You could say, hey, dude, we could actually edit this article to show that we used all Canon photography gear, and we can edit it up and it's evergreen content forever for our major sponsor, Canon. He's going to love that. You cannot go back and re-edit your Instagram stuff. You've just got to keep doing
it's not relevant anymore.
Yeah. Nor can you update it. You know what I mean? Like if you often travel places change or get updated or anything like that, and therefore you're able to update your blog with that. But with Instagram, you can't update it. You just have to create new ones.
Yeah.
So more work.
Always reinventing the wheel.
So
we are taking your advice.
Yeah, so see the beauty of it with the corporates, and I want everyone listening here, you got to realize the value now going forward in this A&I driven day and age. Did I word that right? In this age of A&I driven content, going forward, content is, and it has been for the last 10 years, but content is incredibly valued, guys. It's like money in the bank. And if you've got a permanent place where your content is working, i.e. your website or a YouTube channel, what it means is, particularly on your own website, if you find out of all the pieces of content that you create, there's always going to be something that turns into what we call like a pillar article, like a major winning article. And that becomes evergreen content that you typically update once a year. So that's your asset. It's literally like owning online real estate. And that's the beauty of posting all this really cool travel stuff to your travel blog, because certain articles that you guys do are going to be massive winners and hugely popular with your audience. You go, bingo, that's the one that we're going to sell really expensive advertising space on, $5,000 for an ad or whatever. And you can just update it every year, and you can auction it out each year. You can say highest bidder, or if it turns into, guys, like we teach in our affiliate strategy, think about this. We just did the directory site strategy, right, with the champions this week. You have those top 10 best wedding venues in South Australia. We're on your travel blog somewhere. You might have top 10 best places we visited in XYZ, and then you go to each council and say, do you want to be at number 1? Well, it's going to cost you $5,000.
Yes.
Number 2, that's going to cost you $4,000. Or it might be top 10 best products for our 4-wheel drive van. And you can just get direct sponsors to pay to be in the top 1 position. And you say it's a sponsored editorial, but that's what all these big directory sites are doing. We know they are. So for a fact, that's how those guys are often, that just completely you don't even need to be an affiliate then. It's just so much easier just to say it's $5,000 to be number 1, or to get a mention in this article, or to get a link. So you got lots, and what it is, it's security for you guys. When you're traveling around, not only you're just having fun, which I know you realize now, like it's awesome, Beck, to hear you say that. It all started out as a bit of fun posting this stuff, but now you're turning this into a secure asset for both your futures, and not only a skill and you're still having fun with it, but okay, you got to do a little bit more work, like edit up a few videos and post them onto, but think of it as this is like money in the bank. It's an asset, or it's digital real estate. You're building this every single little piece of content that you create, particularly these days, because it's so real, what you guys are doing, I would suggest it's hugely valuable, possibly more valuable than what we realize long term.
I 100% agree with you. We've had a massive shift, especially in myself, to really trying to focus in now and make something this opportunity is just we're so privileged and so grateful for it. And it's just time now to really get into it.
And I think another big opportunity that there's 2 more big key points that I want to cover here for everyone today, because in some ways we're just getting warmed up here, but it just made me think of something. But I will bring up one big key strategy that I think this leads into in terms of this opportunity in the travel niche for real content. That is what Chris and Beck have been talking to me about, and what all of the champions are looking at the moment is buying up neglected old travel websites. Within this community, I was saying to Chris, it's a shame Sandra's not on today. We'll do a separate webinar with Sandra. She's just bought an awesome travel website, and we'll run a separate webinar and go through it and do a full-on web reno on it and everything. But guys, if you want to crack it into this niche, another really smart move is to buy up neglected or forgotten old travel blogs for this very reason, that they've got real content on them, just like Annette did in our Digital Investors program. Remember, everyone, she won the best website buy of the year last year. She bought that little simple, travel around Australia website that was 14 years old, had hundreds and hundreds of legitimate articles on there written by retirees, grey nomads. So it was all real. And they just put it in their little grey nomad Facebook group. Oh, does anyone want to buy our thing? We're stopping our van life now. Make us an offer. We don't know what this website's worth. And Annette just said, I'll give you $5,000 for it. And the lady took it. And now that site's already making $4,000 a month. And Annette now is traveling around Australia, living off that website.
Really?
It's pretty cool. So you think about it, it's making $4,000 a month. That site's worth over $100,000 now. Any day of the week, she could sell that through like Joe Burrell or on Flipper or whatever, and she would easily get $100,000 for that website. I mean, Chris, you and I offered her $10,000 the day she bought it. I said straight away, that site's worth 10, 20K just standalone. And it turned out it was. She straight away got it making, she combined it with her other travel blog. So she was already ready and hovering around in that niche. So on that note, for you two, you were saying to me, you're like Annette. I think you guys were a bit inspired by Annette's story. You guys are, let's just say, more than hovering around that niche.
Oh,
You
yeah.
guys are fully doing this, like that's one of your big income generating sites. So you guys are also looking around to buy up neglected or
Yes.
we call them
100%.
diamonds in the rough.
We are.
Yeah, definitely. There is a lot,
Real
there's a
sites.
lot of passion travel websites out there that people have maybe just stopped a year or two ago.
Yep.
Or even, like they've gone around Aussie and they've done a lot of blog, but then realized that maybe blogging's not for them. But
because they don't know how to make money out of it, and they don't
Yeah.
come at it with a business strategy like you guys have.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they've typically done it during COVID or something, and they're now back at work. They're back earning a full-time income, so they think, oh, this blog's, as you guys found, takes work to post on there and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But
That's
so
what we
they're
need.
ready to sell them off.
Yeah.
And for you to imagine if you guys could get a really couple of cool, really good
That'd be
travel
awesome.
sites, you would
And triple the size
you could
of
triple it.
ours.
And you guys would know straight away, really depending, because obviously there's lots of different sub niches within the travel niche. You guys would know straight away how to monetize it with the same existing people that are paying you affiliate commissions or corporates
Exactly.
or whatever. You've got the skill set now to easily triple, kind of like what Annette did. She basically, that site never made money and she got it to $4,000 a month. But even if you had a couple of little passive ones like that on the side, would be
Exactly what we need.
very smart move for you too.
We
Yeah,
have been talking about it for a while.
definitely. If anyone knows any
Yeah.
travel blogs or
Up for sale.
send them our way. But yeah, that would be, that's kind of the next stage, because I think because you're always bootstrapping these websites unless you get investment, so you're always kind of restricted on the amount of content creation you can do on a month-to-month basis. Obviously the more money you make, the more content you can create on a month-to-month basis, but buying a website really shortcuts that. And in some case you can buy the website for less than the content would cost because they haven't monetized it.
And that's very typical. And Chris and Beck and everyone listening, if you've seen, here's a really interesting example. You guys have been traveling so much, maybe you haven't seen my interview with a young guy that I did called Benjamin from Treasure Hunter. They raised 10 million euro. He's German, to do exactly what you said. And one of the niches they target is the travel niche. That's their biggest success story. You should go. It's a hiking website that
Brilliant.
what they're doing is, and they said on the interview, this is why I was really interested to talk to him. He's just he started out like everyone in Champions with an SEO agency. He's a young guy who was at uni. He learned how to do SEO, quit uni, started an SEO agency, and now he buys up websites, but for their content. So, and they're particularly interested in passion. All they buy is passion sites. So it's got to be like in soccer or some sport, or ideally travel. They love travel. And their biggest success story is buying a hiking website, which is what Sandra just bought in New Zealand.
An old, I have to go check that website out, actually.
A 10-year-old hiking site or whatever. But what they did, and it's something you just meant, everyone listening, you should hear the strategy. I'll just summarize it. They literally, like Chris just said, this is a big, these guys are all SEO legends, experts, been doing it for the last decade. And, they've raised 10 million euros. That's serious. That's getting up there for a fairly big swag of kit to go out buying websites. But what's interesting is they're not necessarily keeping the domains or anything. They're just buying them sometimes just for the content. Because like Chris said, they're finding with those old neglected's not the word. It's just people get tired of their travel blogs, but the content on it is so valuable. These guys, kind of pseudo big corporates, are buying them up just for the content alone and sticking them on their own websites, or they're doing redirects, which is really interesting. And it's working really well for them.
So think of that combined with the strategy of visual storytelling. You buy an old blog article that's maybe a bit more wordy, and then all of a sudden you port it over onto your website and then add the visual aspect to it. Then I think that's a really, really good, quick, like it's super quick, right? You just change the text over, maybe a little bit of quick edit, then add images into it, and maybe, I don't know, a small video or something. And then all of a sudden, you're really kind of boosting up in the rankings.
Well, it is a big strategy out there now. These bigger corporate buyers that I'm speaking to behind the scenes who are looking to buy, because they come to us and say, do you have any students selling good passion sites? That's how Treasure Hunter found us. And there's some other people that I've spoken to. They're all doing the same thing. They're buying up long established sites just for the content because it's real, particularly like in those, I really like them in the passion niche, but it's interesting that keeps coming out a lot now. You know, the pet niche, and in this community, we're hearing from some of the top brokers, you know, some of these pet sites and, you know, they're really popular now. Oh, food blogs, would you believe? I never thought food blogs would be worth as much as what they are now. Same reason, it's real content. And what they do is they just buy it up because it's got the following and everything. They either absorb it into their own existing big websites or they do redirects on. In some ways, it's easier for them just to pay a couple of $1 million for your little passion blog and get the content. So I'm not saying to sell out to them just yet. You should build up your assets. Here you go.
Maybe we reach out to them and just flag us. You know what I mean? Just like, watch the space.
But I'm seeing
That's why you do interviews with me, see, because they're all starting to see these interviews now. You want to be on our podcast. And because that's where they're hunting around. Isn't it interesting? That's how Treasure Hunter found us. You're probably already on their radar.
Yeah, I'm seeing the trend here, Matt. You've got passion, which means you do a thorough, researched, enthusiastic job of it. So it's real, like you said. With that comes community, because people go, this is authentic, this is real, that's what I'm looking for. And I mean, for all the right reasons, you're going to make the money because you're passionate about it. You're enthusiastic. You put in the work. It makes so much sense. That's what you should be focusing on, is what you're passionate about.
Love it. That's how this is the ultimate, you know, like Tony Robbins says, if the ideal in life is if you can make money out of what you love doing. It's just
that's why we're so happy, you know.
Yeah. Look at your phone.
We enjoy it.
There you go, mate. Cut that up and put that in your Instagram reel. That's the quote.
Yeah, there you go. See, well, that's what I want to say. A big thank you to you guys because you're making a lot of us here in our community very happy by sharing your story so openly and what you're doing as you're traveling around. Everyone loves hearing the updates from you guys and seeing you. And for me, it's a real buzz, and Liz, to see you guys grow so much, and also to see your van today looking so immaculate and trendy. It looks like it looks like it's out of an Instagram reel. But
maybe it's for Instagram. No, it's
not. You should start an Instagram thing on how to home decorate your van. So there you go. But I'm sure that's a keyword of some kind. But guys, I do want to say a really big thank you for sharing your story today. It's just absolutely awesome. And I'm going to ask you to stay on and we'll answer some questions too from everyone. But big round of applause. Thank you, everyone, for the guys to coming up and sharing their story today.
Thank you, guys.
Cheers, guys.
We look forward to hearing your stories. We'll be right behind you.